Greetings, Quester. The Meddlesome Meeples present Tome Talk with Matt and Richard.
Okay, welcome to Tome Talk, and this week Matt is going to tell us about a book called The Last Kingdom.
That's right. Now, The Last Kingdom is a book by Bernard Cornwell, a very well-known historical fiction writer, particularly probably better well-known for the Sharp books, largely in part because the Sharp books were then adapted into the series of films starring Sean Bean. But the book I wanted to talk about today is
The Last... die straight away.
Yeah. Any film that Sean Bean manages to make it into the sequel is a little bit different for Sean Bean.
Yeah. Very well there. So that's why people have heard of Sharp.
That's why people have heard of Sharp, yes. But the Last Kingdom was one of his books that was released back in 2004. It's been a 10-book. It's part of a 10-book series now. The Last Kingdom is another one of his historical fiction works that focuses on a fictional character in the backdrop of real events.
Right.
So, without going into spoilers, it's told from a first-person point of view, and that is from the point of view of Uhtred, Lord of Bebbanburg. Uhtred,
Nice.
Son of Uhtred, whose father before him was called Uhtred, and his father before him was also Uhtred.
Wow, it's a family tradition.
It's a family tradition that the eldest son becomes Uhtred. In fact, the main character in this book was originally called Osbert.
Right. Okay.
Or Osferth, I can't remember which, but he's then, when his older brother dies, he's renamed Uhtred.
So it's that strict.
It's that strict. It's written into the deeds of the castle that it is passed from Uhtred the father to Uhtred the son. So the heir always has to be called Uhtred.
Like, this family tree will never not be confusing.
Yeah.
And they all sign it.
It's almost like it's like the Dread Pirate Roberts, or it's
like
almost
that.
like it becomes a title as much as it is a name. Yeah.
I am Uhtred.
I am Uhtred.
Yeah.
But so basically, and this isn't a spoiler because you'll learn this right at the start of the book. Uhtred himself says that this is a tale of blood feud, the tale of a woman and her father, the king. Now, the backdrop to this saga is the Viking invasions and battles against Wessex back in the time of Alfred the Great, who was actually one of only two English monarchs to be referred to as the Great. You've got this first-person point of view of this young boy who sees his father killed. He is betrayed by somebody, without going into spoilers, and as a result of that, he's actually raised by Danes. So he becomes quite an interesting mix of both Saxon and Viking ways.
Right.
And then a series of events propels him from being there to being in the service of King Alfred of Wessex. So he is helping Alfred to fight off the Saxons and essentially keep the dream of a united England alive. What some of the interesting things here as well is that he was raised by a priest in the Saxon ways to a certain age, and then after that he started to become Danish in his ways and manners and religion, which meant that by the time he entered Alfred's court, he knew how the Saxons would want him to portray himself, and he didn't care. He just went about being himself and doing his own thing.
That's being kind of Viking-like. Yeah.
And Alfred is known as being a very pious king, isn't he?
Yeah, he went on that pilgrimage and everything.
Yeah, he was a very pious ruler. So you've got this most pious of kings, Alfred, with this warlike, Danish-acting Saxon, pretty arrogant guy actually, but it's hard not to like him for that as well.
Right. Okay.
Alfred knows that for him to keep Wessex alive, to keep the Vikings from completely taking over, and to lead his armies, he needs Uhtred. But he also despises almost everything that Uhtred stands for. Right. So that's quite interesting, and as I say, you've got this this one guy who is fictional, and then so many real life characters around you, and Bernard Cornwell is very, very good at bringing these characters to life.
Yeah, I thought about that. It's similar to in Sharp. Obviously, he will be a fictional character, but obviously it's in the Napoleonic Wars.
Yeah.
And a lot of what happens is actual history, and obviously it has Napoleon, and a lot of the British people will be historical figures.
That's right. And in this case, obviously, we're talking about the year 866 where it all starts. So you can learn a lot about the backdrop of Alfred and the the Wessex, Mercian, Northumberland, East Anglian kingdoms.
At the time?
Well, that comes into
Would that
it
be a
because.
spoiler?
I don't think the Danelaw is a spoiler. It happened
but
1,000 years ago.
not that it existed, but that it might be a plot point at some point.
Yeah, well,
something happens with that.
The Danes wanted to have Danelaw, which was having control of England, and they wanted to call it Daneland rather than England.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So,
Daneland.
Yeah,
As opposed to Denmark.
And actually, we're talking about something that's very intrinsic to the history of England as well, aren't we? Because even in the areas that we both live in, there's still Danish bloodlines. People have Danish genes in them in the places we come from.
And a lot of the places are named with Viking names as well.
Yeah.
When you get that down to what the names actually mean.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's quite interesting to see some of those events, even though it's through the eyes of someone fictional. It's interesting to sort of see all those different events, and you learn a lot from his books as well. But it's something that Cornwell does with a lot of his different book series. He creates a fictional character and then surrounds them with real historical people, because he's a historian as well as a storyteller, and it's a really great way to be able to learn as well as have something that's really enjoyable to read. And to me, Uhtred is one of my favourite characters created by Bernard Cornwell, and one of the things that prompted me to use this Tome Talk to talk about that was because last night season 2 of The Last Kingdom started on BBC,
right? Okay.
Which is an adaptation starring Alexander Dreymon as Uhtred. And I wasn't really sure about that casting at first at all.
Right.
And it was probably not until the very last episode of the first season that I started to enjoy that. But
now I get it.
Yeah.
That must have been what he used to audition.
Yeah.
that scene.
But yeah, I think if you enjoy, for example, some of the Viking dramas that you see, or if you like historical fiction, then The Last Kingdom by Bernard Cornwell is definitely one to check out.
Farewell, Quester. To find out about other productions by the Meddlesome Meeples, then check out our channel or rendezvous with us at meddlesomemeeples.com. Until next time, Quester, farewell and keep thine axe sharp.